Dr. Oфра Аялон is a psychologist and family therapist. She's an international trainer in coping with stress and trauma, founder and director of North Hope Center in Israel. She trains therapists to use metaphoric art as a major tool in therapy. And she herself is an author of metaphoric cards. She is lecturer at Haifa University for 35 years now, and founder of the first academic program of bibliotherapy in Israel. Her books and articles are translated into many languages. Please tell us more about your career, what brought you to psychology and to your work with trauma and coping with trauma.
I've been working as a therapist since 1963. It's a long time now. I'm 85 years old, so my career is very long. And I started to do normal therapy like everyone else. And I was one of the first therapists who studied family therapy in the early 1970s with Virginia Satir, who is a well-known name. She came to Israel and she became my mentor and my teacher. And since then, I always see a person within the group, within the family group. Even when I meet one person in my therapy, in my imagination, I see the whole family. And because I think that what makes us as a person is the interaction. So, and of course, I like to see couples and I like to see full families. And what brought me to trauma in a very unstable part of the world. It's called the Middle East, as you know. And unluckily, in my lifetime, there were so many traumatic events like wars, a lot of very, very severe terrorist attacks on civilian people and on children. And I was always called to do something with the survivors, with the team, with the professional teams, teachers and psychologists and social workers, and who always came to help the people who survived such traumatic situations. At that time, when I started in the early 70s, there was almost no knowledge about trauma, psychological trauma. So I had to teach myself. Now, of course, it is a well-known area all over the world. But my first steps was really self-teaching, and I learned a lot from my clients, from the communities, from the families who were really hurt by such traumatic events. So I really owe them. They are my real teachers. They taught me what they need, and then I developed different methods. And of course, now the knowledge about how to treat trauma is very spread all over the world. And because I was one of the pioneers in this field, I was invited to so many other areas. For example, in the 90s, there was a big earthquake in Turkey. So I took my little team and we went there directly as volunteers to help train the Turkish local psychologists to work with the communities who were really traumatized. And there was a tsunami in Thailand, same thing. I went there, and my mission was always to train the local people, because in such situation you have to have the language and understanding of the culture. So it wasn't that I was treating the people. I was training my colleagues so they can treat their people. And it happened in so many other countries. For example, in the 90s, there was a horrible war in what we call former Yugoslavia. This is much nearer to your space. And these five nations, Croats and Bosnians and Serbs, they all fought with each other like that. And I took my little team and we went inside during the horrible war to train the local psychologists and therapists so they could really go to refugee camps and to raped women and really help them while it was still going on. So this is what really made me a trauma expert. It's my experience. Now about the cards, I will tell you very briefly. You see, Albena, we are talking a language. It's not my language. It's not your language, but we understand each other. Is it true? Yes, we can understand because there is this part of our brain, left part of our brain, that is especially targeted to understand language, any language. So whenever we lose words, I can communicate with you, and you can communicate with me. But when somebody suffers from trauma, either from early childhood, from family abuse, or from later in life, from accidents, from other traumatic events, from loss, from death of dear people, it's not in the left brain that we can communicate. Why is that? Because the trauma, as a matter of fact, is registered in the right brain. What is the right brain? The right brain is our primary brain that when we are born and we don't have language, we see the world, we feel the word, we see the word, we hear the word, but we cannot express. Why is that? Because it takes time for language to develop, about a year and a half, until the baby can speak. But as a baby, we already interact with the world. And the way we interact is mainly by seeing. Human beings are visual creatures, we see. And this is why I felt that when I treat people in my clinic or my workshop, words do not go inside where the trauma really dwells. So I needed something to bring out these forgotten feelings or repressed feelings or this kind of feelings that have no words. They are so horrible that words cannot express. Of course, we use art, we use movement. But then I found out that using the cards, I'll show you, that using the cards brings out from people the deepest feeling. For example, if I show you a card like this, and you can say, what it reminds you, or maybe this one, which is very, very different. Maybe this will bring very different feelings in you, and maybe this one will bring other feelings, maybe fear, maybe memories of family members, maybe sometimes a feeling of the person who caused you the trauma. So the feelings come out from deep inside by the help of the cards. And then we can, of course, go back to our left brain and elaborate and talk about it and find new ways of coping. So the last thing that I'm going to tell you, that I, with my friends and colleagues, you never work alone, always with other people and helpers, we developed a very, very special theory of coping. How does a person, how do people cope with stress, stressful situations? How do we cope with trauma? And this one I'm going to teach in the seminar. And my main message is that we people, you and I, and other people around us, people who come to the seminar, are copers. We all cope, because those who couldn't cope are not here any longer. Yeah. So we need to understand what is our strength. And you have different strengths than I, but we both have inside of us, by genetics, by education, by influence of our environment, we have developed a kind of strength that is typical to us. For example, some people cope better by doing. They are doers. You know, if they are in stress, they want to do something, and this is relaxing. Some other people, they need to express themselves in art, maybe in music or drawing or writing something to themselves. Other people cope with interaction. I tell you what's hurting me, and you listen to me, and this helps me. So that's another way, interaction with people. Or maybe I can help you, so it helps me also. You know, I found out that we helpers, we all are hurting inside. And this is what brought us to our profession. And this helps us also to develop empathy and understanding to other people who are hurting. I think I spoke enough. Maybe you have questions.
What is your strongest coping mechanism? How do you get through this?
My own.
Yeah, your own. How you cope with all that you meet. Yeah.
Let me think about it. I don't have a ready-made answer.
That's wonderful.
But if I look inside of me, and I want to ask myself, what motivates me? Why am I doing all this for so many years? 6 years, I think, yes. Why am I always touching so much pain in other people? I wrote books about it. I made research. I do therapy. And I go around the world. In so many countries, people are the same in every country. They all hurt inside. I think, Albena, that I must have something in me that I can call it in one word. Maybe it sounds a bit strange and not professional. I think it's love. Love for people. I do. When I meet you, after a few minutes, I feel you. And I already want to bring you some coffee here to our meeting and maybe embrace you. I have this. Listen, I have a big family. I have 13 grandchildren and 3 great-granddaughters. And I'm very connected, very much connected to my children, my grandchildren, even to these little girls who were born in the last 2 years. And I think that this gives me satisfaction to be in touch with people. That's the main thing. Maybe there are other things also. I think I need to create something new every time, because this gives me energy. When I create this, what I showed you, the new, this is a very new deck that I created last week. It was printed last week.
Wow,
it is all eyes. It's very new. Every time I create something new or I write something, this I think is also one source of my coping. So
creativity
and creativity.
So we
both is a marriage between love and creativity.
Do you think that what we live now in this pandemic situation brings out this feeling of trauma, or this memory of all trauma, or some kind of stressful situation that could be really personal? What is your experience about
right that? Exactly. You said it all. I don't have to add anything, because that's very true. That this kind of threat of the pandemic, and also something about the isolation from people, have touched the pain buttons. We all have pain buttons, you know. When we don't touch the pain buttons, we are okay. But when something touches our pain button, we are not okay. And what happened in this pandemic time, it's still happening, that for some reason, the phrase became universal, a very toxic phrase. It's called social distancing.
Yeah.
This is more harmful than the pandemic. And what I want to show in my seminar about pandemic is we need physical distancing with a mask and everything. Yes, it is important. But we need social closeness. We need each other. And if we cannot meet, we can meet by Zoom. We can meet by phone. We can talk to each other from a distance, but not social distancing. Social distancing is a poison. It leaves everyone in such an isolation, which is almost worse than death. Who can benefit from such a workshop? I think that first, anybody who has dealing with other people in the professional function, of course, doctors and nurses and therapists of any kind, and art therapists, and group therapists, and family therapists, teachers, kindergarten teachers, coaches, anybody who deals with other people and touches this kind of a problematic situation inside of them can benefit from the knowledge that Dr. Esti Avnon and I are going to share. Now, I'm talking English with translation. Esti talks Bulgarian. She can really, and she is a drama therapist. She's wonderful. You will meet her on Sunday and you will see. And we like to work together. And I give the theoretical background and the cards, and she gives the drama inside. So we will do together. We will make a very lively and very experiential situation that everyone can enjoy, because it touches the human chord that is within everybody. So I do hope that people will come, and because of the Zoom, which at the beginning I hated very much, but now I can see the benefits, because I can reach you. You see, I can reach the people who I would have never been able to meet before. And they just sit at home and we can communicate. And this is really great. I hope it will stay with us even after the pandemic will go away, because it is a good way of communicating across distances. So I think it's going to be a creative kind of workshop. People would be able to express themselves in small groups. They will get a lot of information, very specific information that we develop. They will get to know the world of the metaphoric therapeutic cards, because I will show them different kinds of cards. And I hope that they will come out of the workshop richer, happier, and with a lot of enthusiasm.